We all remember how active Sanjay Gandhi was with population control of human beings.
Architecture to technology to working in corporate, then quitting everything and doing something so meaningful. How did you get into this? So, how important is feeding and nurturing them, and why is it necessary?
Nurturing is very important, of course. Feeding, I believe in responsible feeding, not irresponsible feeding. See, feeding is a great way to become friends with them so that you can catch them for neutering and vaccination. And nowadays, BBMP also does a vaccination program every year. Each and every ward is covered once a year. They also vaccinate them now, not just with anti-rabies, but also with 7-in-1. So it's actually a very good 7-in-1, like we have the ones that you give your dog, like that 9-in-1, 7-in-1, that thing. So it's actually a very good thing if you can catch hold of as many dogs as possible, then get them all. Sterilize is a one-time thing, but vaccination, if you can get them revaccinated, nothing like it. And I'll come to the feeding in a moment. The other advantage of vaccinating them, and especially regularly, is for blood donation. We have a lot of pet parents, pet is not well, it needs blood. Now, you ask most pet parents, nobody wants to donate blood. There's some stigma about this. They don't want to, I don't want to put my dog through this and all that. Whereas we have friends who have been maintaining their street dogs so well. Now, they're fairly healthy dogs, Not every dog needs 300 ml of blood. Depends on the case. Some dogs may need only 150 ml. So then they take some of their nice, healthy street dogs and they donate blood and they come back. So there was a case where the dog needed blood. The pet parents sent their vehicle. They picked up 3 street dogs from JP Nagar, from her area. She pointed out which ones.
But it's all legal to do that.
See, only the caretaker has to give her consent. You can't just, you can't and will not pick up any random dog because it's a waste for you. Because half the time the blood report may not be good. So only if you know that the dog is actually vaccinated. So this is a very big advantage. So then that doggy actually donated blood to that the recipient, and it even survived and all that. And those people dropped back the dog also after the procedure. So that's a very big advantage if you actually keep your street dogs healthy.
Nice.
So, and about feeding. So feeding, yes, as a means to sterilizing, vaccinating, all that is fine. But I am completely against aimless feeding without sterilizing, because you're only making them more fertile. If you don't catch them and sterilize them, you're just giving them food. That means they're becoming more fertile. They will produce 6 more puppies. Then you'll start feeding those puppies also. And then they will also become fertile. So I'm completely against. I always tell people, if you cannot catch it for sterilizing, do not feed it. Don't feed it
But you have to
explicitly.
feed first to sterilize them, right?
Yeah, that little bit, provided you're sure you can do it and all that, or not. And yeah, some people even use a trap cage and all that. If you can do all that, well and good. But otherwise, just aimless feeding without having a plan at all, don't do it. I keep telling people this, then they say, oh, you're so mean, you're so cruel, how can you say this and all that. But you also, it's not just about being cruel to the animal. In fact, it's cruelty if you're feeding them, because when the population goes up so much, people get angry. People get furious, then they start throwing stones at them and, try to kill them, try to run over them, try to poison them. All these things happen. So if you want the dogs to be, basically, if you keep the number at a very manageable level, nobody is going to have such a problem. People start having problems only because the numbers have gone out of hand. And look at Delhi. The numbers have gone completely out of hand. When there was only 1 dog every 5 streets, nobody had a problem. Now that the number has gone up so much, people think they're like pests. They're seen as pests, basically. So now the number has gone out of control. So you have to control the numbers. Very, very important. So this is why I tell people, make sure you can catch it for sterilizing. Otherwise, don't feed it. Or if you're feeding it, move it gradually 10 feet, 20 feet every day. Finally, bring it near your compound, into your compound, so that it starts eating there. Then you can catch it one day. Don't, yes, in a general sense, it's fine to feed them at their spot. But if you have a mission like this, you must work on a plan to do this. So that's what I did. In fact, during COVID, the dogs were very hungry. There was no, even the garbage piles shrank actually, because there was not much food available. So then one of the dogs was hungry. I kept on and on dropping chicken and got her into my compound and got her one day.
So what does a sterilizing process look like? for common people if they want to know what exactly happens in the sterilizing?
Males and females, they remove the entire reproductive system. So for males...
And how long is this procedure?
The actual surgery is a very short thing. It's only like 10 minutes. That's it.
So doctors can come to your area and do it, or do you have to move the dog to the...
Well, generally they advise you to move it there so that it's a sterile environment and all that. There used to be a few mobile vans and all that used to do it, because I remember way back in 2001 or something, somebody had come to our doorstep and done 2 dogs. But then a lot of activists had a problem with that, because and we kept those dogs in our garage for 3 days and looked after them till they had recovered. But not everybody does that. Many people will say, okay, come to my doorstep and do it. But then next thing you'll find the dog on the road, and then the sutures may be opening up and all that, which is why a few activists objected. And then Animal Welfare Board brought in a rule that if it's being done for street dogs under the public mass program, then you keep them for 3 days with you. I mean, whoever is doing it, whichever NGO.
So it's a 10 minutes procedure.
The actual procedure is only 10 minutes. Preparation and all that, overall from start to finish, maybe 1 to 1.5 hours. But the actual surgery is only about 10 minutes.
For both male and female?
Yeah, for both males and females. For the males, they basically remove the testicles. For females, they remove the uterus as well as the ovaries. The reason being, if you don't remove the ovaries, she will continue to come into heat, and she will still continue to attract males. So they remove, it's a full total hysterectomy that they do, like they basically remove everything. So then she doesn't come into heat anymore and she doesn't attract any males.
Doesn't it change the behavior of the dog?
Actually, I think it changes it positively. I have never seen it change it negatively. And I, in fact, do it when they're fairly young. Animal Welfare Board allows you to do it after they're 6 months old. So for males, in fact, I catch them when they're just about hitting 6 months. The reason being, for a male, the testosterone starts shaping his behavior. You will notice even at 4 to 5 months, he'll start humping. And then that starts irritating people. And then once that humping and all begins, gradually the testosterone builds up. He'll keep doing gur 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 all the time. All that begins. So before that happens, when they're still playful and young, I get them done at 6 months so that their personality is not dominated by their hormones. And for females, although it's great to leave it longer, and do it later and all that, the problem is by 7 months, 8 months, she'll come into heat. Then she's going to have puppies. So no choice. So by the time they're about 7 or 7.5 months, I do the females. Or the first sign I notice that she's about to come into heat, then I quickly do it right then. I mean, yeah, technically every vet will tell you the more you delay neutering, the better it is, the healthier it is and all that. But how long are you going to keep waiting? Because if you do it after he is 6 years old, by then his personality is already developed.
True. And what is the cost involved for any stray dogs, from vaccination to neutering and all this stuff? So, because a lot of people, even in my place where I live, right, people love the street dogs. They only feed. They don't know anything about it. I'm going to show this episode to them. But they're not aware of the cost and the challenges involved in it.
So, if you're within BBMP limits, I'm guessing you're probably not within BBMP limits. If you're within BBMP limits, it's free. You call the numbers. There are lots of numbers. There's even the general 1533 helpline available. And you can inform them. They will send their team to pick up. There are different NGOs. How long does it take generally, from the time you request, maybe about a week. So they will come and pick up, they'll coordinate with you and they'll pick up the dog. But obviously, if you can confine it, that's even better, because if you can't, if it's a big open space, jungle area and all that, it'll just be a wild goose chase. So, but yeah, there is a facility, and when they sterilize them, they also vaccinate them at that time. In addition, as I said, they do the annual vaccination drive. But at that time, they vaccinate them when they're sterilized. So that is the easy part within BBMP limits. To come to areas like yours, they are technically supposed to be covered by the panchayats of those areas. And sadly, very, very few panchayats in Karnataka have even bothered about all these things. There are a few who have done it. Bidadi, Ramnagara, some near Yalahanka and all are taking it up now. Hoskote and all that, they've done it. But generally, they don't. So, what you can do is, in a case like yours, specifically to answer your area, if the people are friendly with the dogs, we can always request BBMP, and BBMP has been very, very accommodating on this matter. You can take the dog to the center, get a surgery done, bring it back. No problems. They'll do, and they'll do the vaccination also there. So you can do that. So at least that way the population will be under control. But this, of course, works only for friendly dogs. If they're not friendly and all that, it's hard. Then you'll have to catch hold of some private catcher, ask him to catch the dog and drop it off at the ABC center and get it done, and then bring the dog back. So...
Oh.
Which is why that's when it starts working out expensive. See, because when you're within BBMP limits, it's all free. It's 100% free. So it is a bit of a problem. But if you can catch the dog, nothing like it. I mean, at most just one trip to the center and back. That's it. So it's not very difficult.
If somebody wants to get into rescuing, what does it really take?
Okay, so I'll answer you for actual just rescuing. I'm not talking about opening an NGO, which is a different ballgame altogether. Okay, so as an individual rescuer,
do you have to register somewhere?
No, nothing. Just to be an individual rescuer, you don't have to do anything. Like I haven't registered anywhere. But the main thing is, this is just like saying that if you want to get into life saving in the swimming pool, you need to know swimming and you need to know how to do life saving. The same way, you need to protect yourself first, because you are likely to get bitten, scratched, everything. First thing, you must take your shots so that you are safe.
Every year?
Every year or whatever, or as and when, at least if you get the first bite, then you must at least take your shots, take your boosters. What veterinarians do usually is, they first take their full course initially, then every year they take a booster. But in between, if there's a very bad case and definitely a case with rabies and all that, then they'll take some more boosters. But otherwise, typically just that protocol is enough. Of course, the problem is initially, because if you don't have a bite, the doctor will look at you and say, why do you want? So a private clinic will give it to you. But if you go to BBMP and all that, they may not give it to you. I'll talk about that. That's very important, the other one. So that is, you have to be safe. And then you will have the confidence, because you know, even if the dog bites you, you are safe. So then you will get a lot more confidence to rescue them. And then invest in a pair of gloves. And maybe a simple, at least a pigeon net, if not the ring net that the catchers use, doesn't matter. You don't need the butterfly net. At least simple gloves, thick cotton gloves or leather gloves. You get those leather gloves, that kind. And a couple of collars, leashes, muzzles, all that, so that you are safe. And you join somebody initially and understand how to do this. Then I think once you have the confidence, I think it shouldn't. See, like I now stick my hand into gutters and all that and pull them out. I'm least bothered because I have taken my shots regularly.
How many times have you got bitten by dog?
Oh, at least 7 or 8 times, I'm sure. And surprisingly though, interestingly, none of the dogs that bit me was rabid. My mom got bitten just once and that dog happened to be rabid. She took all her shots. So, the thing is, once you have that confidence, then you can proceed. And I'll come to the topic of the shots. This is very important because a lot of people go running to the private clinic for shots, and then they are told you have to get a rabies immunoglobulin, which is a very expensive thing. In a private hospital, it's like 15 to 25,000 rupees. So they say you have to get RIG. And it's actually all free under the government scheme. So you can get, so nowadays in fact, I've been doing this from the start. Go to the BBMP Public Health Center, get my anti-rabies shot there. Immunoglobulin also, I was referred to another bigger health center and I got it free. My mom, she got bitten by a rabid dog once. We knew because I was asked to go check on the dog and suddenly he just went towards my mom, bit her and went away. And so we knew he was rabid and he was picked up.
How do you know it has rabies?
Oh, this is the interesting thing. We always think an aggressive dog has got rabies. And see, this is one big problem with the notion that people have is that any dog on the road must be having rabies. And if it bites me, I'll die. That kind of thing. In fact, an aggressive dog that constantly is barking and all will definitely not have rabies. Rabies is indicated by a sudden change in behavior. And a dog with rabies will die within 10 days. Within max 10 days. Usually I see them die within 3 or 4 days. So that's, I think I should cover rabies separately. It goes on for so long, the topic. But so if you get bitten by a dog, one shot if you want to, if it's in the evening and all that, you can take it at any clinic nearby. But if they say take rabies immunoglobulin or RIG, you can definitely go get it at any of these government hospitals, the bigger public health centers, whatever. It's 100% free. So I think that's something for people to remember because they all end up spending 20,000, 30,000 rupees on all this and then they complain no end. And then they come to us and say, this dog bit me, give me money and all that. And then we say, hey, sorry, there is a public system in place. You should have first checked that. There are people, even in our ward group, we keep telling people, do not go waste money on this. So some guy was so upset, he rushed and got everything done at a private hospital and then he started complaining in the group saying, I've spent 30,000, I've spent 30,000. Who asked you to? Yeah, his wife, all the dressing and the repeat shots and this and that's a great way to make money. So this is something everybody, please remember, you can walk into any PHC, government hospital, whatever, you can get your anti-rabies and immunoglobulin free. So, so then where was I? Came to this topic from something else. About a rescuer, what else? So I think as long as you're prepared with all this stuff, you equip yourself well, and then you watch somebody, that's how you get started. So ideally, if you have a way to transport the dog, because transportation is always a difficult and expensive affair. So that's something you need to figure out. If you have your own car or whatever, well and good, or auto, if you know a fellow with an auto, reliable guy. And the other thing I do is, if it is not a critical case, if it's not an emergency, if it's an emergency, dog is bleeding, no choice. Otherwise, what I do is, I give them a tablet called Simparica or NexGuard, because that kills all the ticks on the body. Because what happens is, otherwise, once the dog is there, the ticks get into your car, or they spread all over the place. Then they come onto your clothes. Last year, in fact, I realized, hey, I need to be careful while helping these other animals. I was ferrying them to get them sterilized, and my dog got tick fever as a result of this. Till then, there was not a single tick. We didn't have a single tick on my dogs. In the garden, I grow a lot of aromatic plants. They keep away the ticks. Lemongrass, rosemary, basil, all these I grow. And with the result, you don't have ticks in the garden if you grow all that stuff. But my poor dog, because I was transporting them and they jumped onto my clothes, I suppose, and jumped onto him, he ended up with tick fever. So this is something to be mindful of when you transport a dog. But other than that, I think it's just a matter of, it's a very organic process as you get into it. And then, as I told you, and then don't rush, because a lot of new rescuers do this. They don't know where to go. And it's happened at night. So you have to think, first of all, is it such an emergency? Do you need to rush at night or not? Because if it's not an emergency, everything is better done during the day. First of all, your own reflexes, your own handling of the situation. And all the senior doctors are usually available during the day. You will not get somebody at night easily. And nobody's going to sit and do a surgery for you at night. So you need to think this through, whether you really need to move it immediately. And then the next thing they all do is, they don't know any other place. Everybody goes to Cessna. Everybody goes to some nearby 24-hour hospital, and those are not going to be cheap. Or, you stabilize it one night, but then you think of something else. So this is something I do. I mean, I never usually rush all these in the middle of the night. I just wait. I may give them, and I'll give them maybe a tablet to stop the bleeding or something like that, and just wait and then deal with it in the morning.
Are you okay tagging along people to show them how to rescue?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So people watching this, can they reach out to you?
Of course. This happens quite a lot. Actually, it's quite a crowd puller. I notice even the photos I showed you of the dog with the maggot wound, somebody else took the photos actually, because people usually stand around in a crowd and watch. So that's fine. I just hope that more people will not just watch, but actually get hands-on themselves. I want more and more people to become hands-on, and I want to teach them to fish, not just give them a fish.
So what's the current state of animal rescue in India? Is it organized?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
It's not organized, and there is, I guess, how do I put this? There are pluses and minuses with the advances in technology and social media. Social media is a great way for spreading the information, so that, okay, a fellow reports from Whitefield, somebody else in Rajajinagar happens to be going to Whitefield, he takes it up. All this is great. But there are also problems that there are many operators who are scammers. So you'll have people who will say, okay, you pay me 3,000, I will transport it from here to there. He will dump it somewhere on the way and push off. He'll take your money in advance and go away. Then there are others who will claim they're taking it to a fancy 5-star hospital, but they will actually leave it. They'll actually be leaving it in their maid's house or something, and then giving you fat bills. Then there are others who will tell you that the dog is doing really well when it's actually dead, and they'll keep on sending you invoices. So whichever you are going with, I think you need to be hands-on. I think it's always very important to be hands-on. Like you say, if you're running your company, you cannot be sitting somewhere in Thailand and running your company. You have to sit, you need to know what's going on the ground.
Right.
It's the same way. So you need to be hands-on. You need to see where the dog, you need to see that the dog is actually where they claim it is. And that kind of stuff. Then there are many other shady people who will say, the moment people, see, when laypersons get desperate, this happened even 2 days ago, somebody called me. I had fixed up a decent NGO trust for him, for the dog to go. It was a fracture. He contacted somebody else, really shady place, which is well known for taking 5,000 flat. No questions asked, they'll take 5,000. Within 5 days, they'll tell you the dog died. Standard. So you need to, and don't go by Google reviews. All of them remove their bad reviews. You will find all of them with 4.8 star ratings. So I think you need to contact the right people and understand. People are always welcome to reach out to me. In fact, I openly put out my phone number. I get tons of calls. If people need help, if they need guidance, let me say that, they're most welcome to reach out to me, and I'll tell them what to expect. Because there are some which are good and some which are not at all trustworthy. This is bound to happen everywhere where there's a room to make money, especially in the name of the voiceless, because the dog is not going to speak and say where it went, right?
Now, let's talk about the
another point I want to, if you like, we'll come to it later, want to talk about is for the laypersons on how to behave in front of the dog, because most people are so scared of street dogs. So should I come to that later, or?
Yeah, we could cover that later.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are the most unexpected challenges you have faced in rescue work? It could be logistical, emotional, or resource-wise.
Most unexpected. I was so shocked. There was a case of a Labrador somebody reported. She said, we're visiting from Chennai and there's this poor dog running around and all that stuff. This was about 3 or 4 years ago. Fortunately, we used to have fewer abandoned dogs in those days, luckily. And CUPA had the second chance wing, which was for breed dogs and all that. They could be sent there. And fortunately, CUPA second chance agreed to take in the dog. So we took the dog and dropped him off at CUPA and all that. They did some basic tests. Slight older dog, about 10 years old, with a slight heart problem and all that. And they took him in. And he even got adopted, fortunately. But later, I discovered, about a week after all this drama happened, I realized that the family itself had brought the dog from Chennai and discarded him here. They had played the whole game here in order to get rid of their dog. Yeah, it was so shocking. We tied it to the collar because the collar had a Chennai shop label on it. And then it made me wonder, if they're traveling from Chennai, why will you be traveling with a brand new collar, right? For anything. Then I called them and asked them, where did you get the collar from? They were furious. They said, we just tried to help a dog. How dare you, and everything. And then they pulled off all the posts from everywhere and they blocked my number. So then I knew something was wrong. And then I came to know from somebody else that this is what had happened. They knew that they had a lab. So then we put 2 and 2 together and figured out.
So what are the most common misconceptions people have about dog rescue?
About dog rescue? Yeah, I think people have very romantic ideas about it. Because, it's a very feel-good thing, right? You feel very happy when you've saved a life and all that stuff. But the reality is, I think anything you do properly is hard work. That is one. The other concern I have is that a lot of people, especially young kids, do this for optics, the school projects. It gives them, they want to apply abroad. They get brownie points for saying that they did rescues and all that stuff.
Even the influencers on social media do that.
Yeah. So we've had this problem very often. But yeah, they have to realize that it is not going to be easy. And especially when you're new, when you're unknown, it's not easy to get help. So seek help, all right. But also, maybe when you get into rescues, keep a few of your close friends in the loop and see so that there is a support mechanism. If you realize you're doing all this alone, you realize you have to drive all alone, you have to carry the dog, it becomes very difficult, and after a while you'll give up. And as I told you, what most rescuers do is they make the mistake of going to a fancy hospital right at the beginning. So they burn their pockets and finish, they're gone. Like a girl near my place, she in fact contacted me once for some 4 cats that she had rescued, and she said, Auntie, I'm going to take them to Cessna. I said, okay, have you thought through the finances? So she said, no, I have some friends, they've said they'll do the fundraising for me. I said, okay, great then, that's fine. Next thing, she sends me the bill. She says, Auntie, it's 1.27 lakh, can you help out? I said, wait, what happened to your friends who were going to fundraise? No, Auntie, they said they're busy with their own cases, they can't help anymore. So,
did you fund it?
No. Finally, her parents paid the bill. That's it. And her mother said, you dare not get into any more rescues. That's it. So this is what happens. So you need to think before getting into it. Yeah, but everybody does have a feeling that it's a very lovely, romantic thing. You see a before and after picture, this dog bleeding. Next thing, dog is walking about. And that's a very heartwarming thing. And you also feel like helping. So I don't blame them. But, and also sometimes you need to think. You have to be, even though it sounds ruthless, sometimes you have to think whether it is worth saving a certain case. Sometimes you'll have a case where the spine is completely shattered. Old dog with spondylitis, spine is completely shattered, spinal cord is broken, this kind of thing. There is no point. You will just work up big hospital bills. You have to think of euthanasia at such times. I mean, people hate the word. Actually, the word euthanasia, I think it's from Greek or Latin, I don't know. Eu means good. EU is good. Thanos is death, good death. So that's what it really means. You're actually helping the animal by putting it out of its misery. It's no fun it's no fun for the dog also. Even similarly with cancer, with tumors, you go on and on treating, go on and on getting the tumors removed. You remove one, it grows somewhere else. So then that kind of thing, even with human beings, there's a limit to how much you can treat them. So this is something they need to be practical about. You have to pick your battles. You have to pick what is a winnable case, not every case. So it's hard, I know, at the beginning, and also you're very emotional at the beginning. Later, of course, we become much more practical about all these, and we straight away say, okay, this is a gone case. Let's just leave this and finish it off. So
great. I'll come to my last question. Okay, out of all the dogs that you have rescued, is there any star dog? One that you remember, one that you always go back?
Well, obviously we remember the first one best, the one where they had smashed his legs because of the Kodis. And I kept him, so obviously I was very attached to him, and I still see him, in fact, every now and then.
Where is he?
He's adopted by somebody, so I go visit and all that. I met him like 2 weeks back also.
Nice.
So obviously that is the one that Snoopy. Well, I named him Snoopy. They've changed his name to Ronnie or something, but I called him Snoopy. He was a white dog. So, so obviously that's special in my mind. But obviously there are a lot of the others that are memorable in different ways. Like I said, with all this drama of the breeder chasing the fellow at 3 o'clock in the morning and all that. And the lady with the blind dog, the old auntie with the blind dog, I got all the permission and she still went to the police station and filed a complaint against me and all that. That doggy is also doing very well. And of course, auntie died 3 months later, sure enough. And the doggy is doing very well. I got a video of hers even a month ago. She's doing very well. So yeah, there are plenty of them.
Awesome. Is there any question you want me to ask?
Well, yeah, I want to cover in a general sense the perception of street dogs and how to react for most people. Okay, shall I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay, so as I said, of course, people are always scared of any street dog in general. So this is why I say wherever there are caretakers locally in that community, if they can maintain a database of the dogs that they feed, their sterilization you can make out from the notched ear.
How do they maintain this?
No, you can just maintain a spreadsheet. Whichever dogs are under your care, maintain just the photo, whether it's neutered or not, that you can make out from the ear notch. You know that, right? If the ear is notched, at least one ear is notched, that means the dog is sterilized. So then they can maintain that, and last vaccination date. So like in my case, when the BBMP vaccination drive happens, I maintain in my spreadsheet, I maintain each and every street-wise which dog has been vaccinated. So I know tomorrow if somebody comes to me 3 months later and says this dog bit, I'll tell him, hey, listen, no need to worry. This dog has been vaccinated for the last 3 years. So that way there's a level of confidence for everybody else also. Otherwise, they're always terrified and they'll go running and all that, they'll panic in general. The other thing is, I think people make the mistake of staring. If you're scared of the dog, you'll go, where you're walking, like this, you keep watching. Dogs can sense fear. So the best thing is to just ignore them. Just look away. If you don't want to make friends with them, I mean, if you make friends with them, it's another matter. But if you just ignore them, that's much better. But they can make out the moment you stare at them, they also become a little suspicious. Like even as a human being, if I'm walking past you and I keep looking at you like that, you're going to wonder what's wrong with this person. Why is she staring at me like this? So then that's when the dog actually starts getting a little aggressive and all that.
But in some cases, I've seen it on the videos on like CCTV cameras and stuff. The people don't make any eye contact, but still there was a dog attack.
It does. It does happen. A couple of them I have never been able to figure out, but a couple of them I have. Very often what happens is you are caught in the crossfire between two other dogs. There's another gang of dogs. There was one recently, you remember some German Shepherd jumping from a balcony and everybody said, doggy G, wow, and all that. The dog was not the street dog was somewhere far away. This dog, German Shepherd, jumped out because he saw the street dog and then they both ran in that direction. So very often it is doggy politics. But people don't realize that. They get caught in the crossfire because I'm walking here, there's a pack of dogs there, there's a pack there, and they are looking at each other and barking, and I think that they're barking at me. That's one. The other thing is when people are feeding, and this comes back to the point of feeding, responsible feeding also means that you feed when there aren't too many human beings around. Do it at a time and at a place where there aren't too many people going around. Because the dogs get so excited and so possessive about their food, anybody who's going past at that time can be a threat. So while they're busy eating, some strangers going past, they think, oh, this guy's going to take away my food. They'll suddenly charge at that fellow, bark at him, and then come back. So that is something I always tell feeders also to bear in mind. And then the other thing is, I see a lot of human beings. People do not have the guts to separate two human beings who are fighting. But if they see two dogs fighting, they have no clue how to handle it. Hey, 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 they'll go and try to separate them like this. And then they'll get bitten and then say, Kachpurto, Yako, hey, na yenu madlila, jagla artidna namda. Why do you have to do panchayati over there? I don't understand. Very common. So leave doggy politics to doggies. They will figure it out. And also, it is natural. If you have 3 dogs living in the street, if a 4th dog comes, they will bark at him. So now the question is, and then these people try to blast these 3 dogs. So that means you want him to settle here? Are you willing to have a 4th dog on your street? Of course not. Then you will complain. So this is another problem. And the other thing is, I think pet parents also, a lot of pet parents are scared. The first thing you should do is, if you have a pet, make friends with your local streeties. And then your doggy will also become friends with it gradually. So this is what I did even when I moved to this house 5 years ago. The first day I took my doggies, the streeties there were they barked at them. So I promptly went and gave them all some food. Next day onwards, things were fine. They were okay. I threw a treat at him. I threw a treat at my own dog, and that's it. Ever since then, there's been no problem at all. So this is something I think I see most pet parents, I never ever carry a stick. I see them all carrying a stick like this, waving away, trying to keep the dog away. It's the same thing. Wherever you live, you will make friends with the locals. The same way you treat those dogs as the locals and make friends with them, your dog will also automatically become friends with them. So
fantastic. Fantastic. I don't know. It feels like now I know my street dogs better. I think today evening I'm going to go back.
Yeah, and try to get them neutered, vaccinated.
Yes, I'm going to do all this stuff.
And you can also use them for blood donation if necessary. That's also a big plus point. And they do an excellent job of killing the rats and all that. They're actually good for rodent control. We need some of them and they're very good for keeping away. We had a case near my place. A guy, when he was feeding those 4 dogs in his gully, neighbors objected. So finally, he started feeding them like 5 streets away. Immediately, somebody stole 1 car tire. Somebody stole a few bike mirrors. Somebody broke into a house and stole stuff. Finally, they all realized now all the dogs are back there. And now no more thefts.
Awesome. Great. What a episode. I think we'll have to structure this, and then I want to create a content around this.
Okay, I think as you said, now it reminds me, I must write about some of these Jugaad treatments and medications and all that.
We will cover that with your help.
Okay.
And I will remind you to make sure you write all these things.
Oh, okay. Great.
Such a valuable tip for everyone. And thank you so much for coming to our show.
Oh, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Best episode.
Pleasure to be here. And especially coming as it does coincidentally the day that we are looking for the blind dog and we find him and he's presumably been rescued now. I'm going to check my phone now.
Please keep us posted on that.
Sure.
I'd love to know how we can support and help.
Sure. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You so
much. I love your t-shirt. I love your
Thank you. This is
really cute.
Yeah, I'll take this moment to promote this also. So we launched a merchandise called Happy Pet Shop, where you can buy all this cool t-shirt.